and that is Josiah Deguara, or Dura, sorry. So you gave him a B plus. I was C plus. What are your thoughts on Josiah?
So another tight end, and ever since Jermichael Finley, the Packers really have not had a tight end. But and that's why they drafted him because they didn't know. But Robert Tonyan had a great year, which is
Yeah.
why now it's a D plus. And the
Okay.
Packers could not have known that Robert Tonyan was going to have that good of a year. So at the time, it looked like a better pick than a D plus. But after seeing this last season how Robert Tonyan did, and then we still have Robert Tonyan, that's why this pick's a D plus. Robert Tonyan is going to be our tight end, obviously, and Mercedes Lewis is going to be our blocker. Josiah Deguara is a good blocker, but we just
Yeah.
signed Mercedes Lewis for 2 more years. He's getting old. He's a good mentor in the locker room, and he's still going to play because he can catch the ball too. Like he doesn't get dropped. He
He
has
has
no
pretty
drops.
good hands, yeah.
So Josiah Deguara will get his chance. I want to say with the Packers, but we did
Mm-hmm.
not need to get him. We thought we needed to at the time because we did not know Robert Tonyan was going to be as good. Robert Tonyan, was he undrafted or was he really late? But
I want to say
he,
he was undrafted.
I think Robert Tonyan was undrafted, so we did not know how he was going to shape out. He was not too good the year before last year. He had a couple pop-off games, but this was really his outstanding season, which is why this pick's a D plus.
Okay. So Robert Tonyan signed as an undrafted free agent with the Lions in 2017. Clearly he's with us now. Looked pretty good last year, a lot of touchdowns. So I gave him a C plus. Now he only played in 2 games, right? So
Yeah, I
not
think
much
he got
to
it.
go off of. He got injured in the Falcons Monday night game. He played the Vikings game though. He only had 1 catch, 12 yards. Okay, that's fine. But for me, so we obviously run the Shanahan, LaFleur, McVay offense. And so when they, after the draft, I think it was LaFleur or Goody, said they view him as like the Kyle Juszczyk. So he's like the H-back. So he's going to be the fullback. He can also split out wide for tight end and block. I think if you remember the Vikings game, he had a really, really good block where he like took out 2 people with 1 block. That was just a cool play. One of the few that he had because he only played in like 1 game and like 10 snaps in the other. But so I think that's actually like he definitely has a role on the team. And I hope what I am hoping is that when Mercedes Lewis retires, he will be able to step in for that role too as the blocker because he is a really good blocker, pretty decent receiver. That's mainly his thing is his role is Kyle Juszczyk. So just like think about what he does, and then he's like a light version of that because we haven't really seen much of him. But that's why
fullbacks are going away from the game right now. Like a lot of teams don't even have a fullback anymore. I like fullbacks. I think they're a cool part of the game.
They're definitely valuable if you use them, but if you don't use them,
a lot of teams don't use them anymore.
Yeah, but like in our offense, we do use one, or we could have a use for one. So that's where
we could. We know how to. We've used them in the past. Ripkowski and Kuhn.
Yeah, so that's why I like it. Now, the reason why it's a C plus is part of what just happened with Mercedes Lewis. So they re-brought him back. Now he's a phenomenal blocker. I would say he's a better blocker than Deguara, but Deguara is like obviously faster, so he can play that halfback role. But the thing that I thought they were doing is getting Josiah, and then he would be able to fill in for Mercedes, but they paid Mercedes instead. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I know he's a great locker room. We've mentioned that. Like, everyone loves him and stuff, but $8 million for someone who's like 36, 37 years old is kind of a lot to fork over. Now, I guess they really like him and value him, and that's awesome. So it is a bit, again, of a luxury pick in the sense that it's not, if we didn't have him, we wouldn't be completely screwed. I think you saw that this season, where if we took, say, a receiver, an offensive lineman, corner, interior D lineman, all the things we've harped on, we could have maybe got more production out of those guys or that position.
Yeah, so like I said, when we drafted him, it was higher than the D plus because we didn't know if we had that tight end at the time.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen what Tonyan's capable of, and he wasn't a Pro Bowler. I think he should have been.
Everyone
he had more touchdowns than Evan Ingram did, but we don't need to talk about that. We're talking about Josiah Deguara. So yeah, I just don't know what his role is going to be this season. I'm interested to see. I think
Yeah.
Tanya's going to be the receiving tight end the whole time, and Josiah DeGura is probably going to get some time blocking with Mercedes Lewis. Mercedes Lewis is going to be the primary guy, but I'm sure they'll throw Josiah in there, and he'll play in more than 2 games this season.
Yeah. And we still don't know what's going on with Sternberger. We remember took him in the 3rd round a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't shown to be that great. He was more of
I don't think he's good. I think he had his chance. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, he doesn't have the best hands, and he's more of a receiving tight end, so it's like kind of a tough situation there. And then
I believe he had some key drops this last season.
He did, and then we also brought in, if you remember, Dominique Daphne, who was like that fullback tight end role. He did a pretty decent job when he was in at blocking, so we'll see if they bring him.
Yeah, that's a blocking guy.
Yeah, that's Josiah. The next guy, we disagree with this one on a little bit on this one. Kamal Martin. So we drafted him in the 5th round out of Minnesota. He had some injury issues, I believe his last year in Minnesota. I think he had a really good Senior Bowl. So that's where all the college seniors, they have a week of practice and they play a game. He was a standout of that, and that's one of the reasons we liked him. Played in, I believe, 10 games for us. He had some injury history, popped off a little bit with his speed, and we didn't really know what we were doing at linebacker this year. After letting Martinez go, we let Jake Ryan go a couple years ago. B.J. Goodson's on the Browns now. So what are your thoughts on Kamal Martin?
Yeah, so Kamal Martin, we got him in the 5th round. He started 6 games for us, but played in a total of 10 games this last season. And I just feel like I want to see a lot more from him. He did have a sack. He had a few tackles for loss, but I really think that even though he's a 5th rounder, I did expect more because our defense is not the strongest, as everyone knows. Our secondary is good, but our other guys are not the strongest. So I was really hoping, even though he got in the 5th round, like that he could be someone like exciting, and he's not that yet for me. He can get there, but right now he wasn't that yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. So I guess I look at it a little differently. So I think of if our team's drafting in the 5th round and we get someone who can contribute and they make the roster, I think that's already a win already. Usually 5th to 6th to 7th rounders are just like lottery tickets, and there's a lot of times they don't even make the team. So not only did he make the team, he helped fill in for a position at need. Like I said, we had Kamal Martin, who's undrafted. We didn't cover him because we didn't draft him, but he was really good against the run this year for us. Made a lot of pretty big plays in that department. But Kamal Martin, I think it was the Saints. I want to say it was the Saints game where he popped off. He made a couple of really, really big plays. And I just thought he had a bit of explosion that we hadn't really seen before from our linebackers, at least in years. And it was exciting to see that. And like I said, like 5th round, like if you can get a guy who makes the team and contributes a little bit, that's awesome. But a guy who could start 6 games, play in 10. Now, he did kind of fall out of the rotation a bit when Kirksey got into form end of season and then Kamal Martin started. So end of year, he wasn't as much of a key player for us. But in the beginning of the year, he definitely filled in a role that was important for us.
I guess I'm also just kind of judging him based on the playoffs, since that last game of our season was kind of frustrating to watch. Mm-hmm. And he played a quarter of the snaps against the Bucs. He just didn't really do much in that game.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bucs are a great team. They won the Super Bowl. But that's just kind of what I'm looking at, because we could get to the playoffs and we got to win once we're there. So I guess I have a little more judgment on those couple games in the playoffs than I do the rest of the season, just because those are more important. But overall, he wasn't terrible, obviously. He was good for a 5th rounder.
No, and you think we took Ty Summers. He's another linebacker, a special teamer. I want to say in the 6th or 7th round, maybe even 5th. He did not look that good. He played a lot in that Saints game. Tackling's not there. He's not the most athletic, but Kamal Martin is athletic. I want to say he's 6'3", like 230, 240 pounds possibly. Yeah, 240.
6'3", 240.
Yeah, he is a big dude. I think he'll be good in the future with Martin, and it's not ideal, obviously, but it's better than when we had B.J. Goodson or Ty Summers or other guys of that nature.
And it's not just specific players on the Packers who can't tackle. Sometimes the Packers just decide they're not going to tackle for a
Yeah,
couple plays, and it's very frustrating to watch. But like when, especially against the Saints, Alvin Kamara broke
yeah,
like
that was
10
tough.
tackles in one run, and it was just very annoying.
It was everyone too. It wasn't just like
No,
the lesser
yeah,
known
it's
guys.
everyone.
There was Jair not making a big play, but we're not
And
going
usually
to.
Jair does stick with it and make that
Yeah.
play.
Okay. So that's Martin. Next guy and the last guy we wanted to talk about was John Runyon Jr. So he's an interior offensive lineman. Took him out of Michigan in the 6th round, probably the best Michigan 6th rounder in the history of the NFL. And he played in a few games this year. He was the backup, but when he did play, he had like 150 pass blocking snaps, didn't have a penalty, didn't give up a sack. I have him really graded really highly for when we got him in his production. What are your thoughts on John Runyon Jr.?
So the Packers had the number 2 ranked offensive line last year, which is very good because I value offensive lines extremely high. I think they're needed to win championships because that's how you protect your best player, the quarterback. And John Runyon did a good job. B plus is not a bad grade. I almost gave an A minus, but B plus is not a bad grade. I didn't want to give an A to a guy who didn't start any games. So
Yeah.
yeah, he played I think around 15 to 20% of snaps on offense, but he wasn't their starting guy, but we had the second best line, so we didn't need him to start yet. And I think in the future, he's going to be a really good lineman for the Packers. So, yeah, he played 160 snaps, didn't allow a single sack. And, yeah, I'm really excited for John Runyon. I like him a lot.
Okay, I'm with you on that. So we got him in the 6th round. So obviously, like, the expectations aren't sky high. We took another guy in the 6th round, Jake Hansen. He was on the practice squad. He tore his ACL. We took another guy, I think it was 6th round, out of Indiana. I'm blanking on the name, but he didn't really play. I don't think he played either. So our interior O-line had the backups were Lucas Patrick and John Runyon. And I think John Runyon, honestly, in the future will probably start for us at some point. And knowing we have someone who appeared to be pretty solid, I believe he's 6'5". He's obviously got the size to play the position, so that's nice. And yeah, when he came in, like, he wasn't noticeably bad. He wasn't when we had Don Barclay against the Cardinals on a Sunday night, and he's just getting beat every single play. That is not how it was. So yeah, I like him a lot. That's why I gave him an A. Like, you can't really ask much more from a 6th round pick. But yeah, I agree. I have him a B plus. Any more thoughts on him?
The guy from Indiana you were talking about was Simon Stepaniak. We also got him in the 6th round. He's an offensive lineman, and he didn't see the field, but no surprise there because he's from Indiana. Boiler up.
Yeah. Okay.